Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Insecure Season 5, Episode 2, Growth, okay? Review. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, this is an interesting episode and it has some deeper stuff in it because y'all know how I do. I don't necessarily focus on just, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. I'm always looking at the archetypes represented, the social and sexual dynamics that are presented. And that's the whole reason that I even review the show, because despite what anybody might think about Issa be putting some deep stuff in there, and as a professional writer myself, I really appreciate it. And that's how I look at it. So let's jump right into it. First of all, the action happens 1 year later from the last episode. And one of the things I peeped, Issa and Molly, they good together now. They cool. Everything, you know. Molly even spent the night one time with Issa. They both in the same bed, nothing sexual. Women do stuff like that though, you know. They cool. All right, you know what? That's deep. Now I'm gonna get into each one individually, right? First, Issa's side of the story. Her business is going pretty good. I mean, she's working, she's hustling. One of the things I like, they kind of showed how, you know, her living space, that's her office and everything. And anybody entrepreneurial knows that. Shoot, y'all in my office now, my living room. At least for now, I got some plans to upgrade, but y'all see that in a few months. But anyway, right? So her business going good. She's creating events and everything. One person that's kind of back in the picture is Nathan. But Nathan, this is a friend thing. In fact, there's a point where, you know, Issa's like, well, what you doing tonight? And Nathan kind of like, you know, he kind of said he was going out. He didn't really say with who, but you get the feeling he going out with some other woman. Okay, they just buddies now. Okay, that's cool, because they had worked together on a project. And that's her main thing. And one of the things they show her doing, she's presenting like, you know, an event idea to a group that is called MBW that sells purified water, getting their sponsorship for an event. All right, that's cool. So they're showing more of her business side, and you know, her image is kind of different. Used to be, you know her usual. She got the t-shirt, jeans, all of that. No, she's looking more professional now, and doing well with business. And you know, it was an interesting dynamic with the business part, because she wanted to do something featuring this brother named Crenshaw, who was a fashion designer, and he made a point of hiring like convicts and everything. And he wanted to present something, you know, more, for lack of a better term, more street in his presentation. But the sponsors didn't necessarily want to do it. And Issa kind of bent to the sponsors, and she presented it to Crenshaw. And it's interesting, at first, he said, okay, I'm not going to have this, right? But then later on, when he actually did the show, he put everything he said he wasn't going to put in there. He had drummers, he had low riders, guys on bikes and everything. And it was rough. And like Issa, she was concerned with alienate the sponsor, but the sponsor was like, oh wow, okay. He was good for it. So that's a good thing. So that like helped her. If you looked at it, it was all about that business. It was business, right? But I'm gonna get into something with her later. Another dynamic, right? So business-wise, she's looking good. She's doing her thing. She's constantly growing. All right, Molly, she's looking like she's doing well. Now, one interesting thing with Molly is she cut her hair. You know, she always had that little wig or weave, whatever it was. Her hair was natural, which in a general thing, whenever I've always peeped that when a woman cuts her hair significantly like that, that's major. Because women will cut their hair to like let go the past or something like that. Usually has to do with a man. Now, with Molly, it's several men, but I'm gonna get into that later. Now, with Molly, you know, they showed her still at the law firm. She doing her thing, even getting along with that attorney, that she always had like a little tension between and everything. Not in a romantic way, but professional. You can see she doing her stuff, she smiling. Things going well for her. Things are going well for her. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna jump into a little bit more in a few minutes. All right, so if you look at them, 1 year later, growth, professional. You know, Issa's business is steadily growing. She got a large following on IG. She's doing her thing. You know, she put on an event, though there was some controversy at first. Hey, the sponsor's like, hey, we can do this again. Okay. Molly, she doing her thing. Now, this is where we get into the relationship part. The relationship part, right? Now, one scene they had Molly at a cookout for her parents, and you know, she trying to tell them, you know, to do something about, you know, taking care of their assets, their will, and all of that stuff. Okay, that's a little family thing. But an interesting thing came up. This guy came up. This like little guy, kind of on the nerdy side. Herbert came up. Her mother was trying to introduce them, and come on now, with Molly's a good bar chaser. I mean, she had one big dude experience with this attorney she worked with, and that was kind of like something to do sex, but come on now. Come on now. She a good bar chaser. She chases select men, you know. You gotta be select to deal with Molly, right? She chases Mr. Goodbar. She always chasing that guy, but always having some trouble with him, you know? So that was the issue. Like, yeah, she doing well professionally, but she always having trouble with men. That's been the theme the whole time throughout the series, right? And in fact, they showed a scene which was interesting. She's on a dating site. Now, it was interesting on the dating site. Her picture was of her with, you know, her hair. She didn't show her current thing, you know, current phase, short hair and all of that. That's an interesting dynamic. But as she was going through there, she started remembering men she had dealt with in the past. Because if you remember, it's always something. She always had some reason not to deal with the guy. Always some reason, kick him to the curb or only deal with him a little bit. Or dealing, like when she was dealing with Dro, you know, industrial size, like I'll be sure. She was all, you know, she was like the side piece. It was always something where she couldn't really create a real relationship. Her best shot was with Andrew, but she had said one time, nah, he gotta be a black man. Even though she was still with Andrew, there was always a problem, you know? And in fact, there was one part. Now, this is historic. This is historic. Remember I said last episode, I went through all this show and never laughed. There was a scene I actually laughed. I was like, man, this is historic. I should go back and like put a timestamp on this. Because you know, apparently, you know, Herbert, you know, the guy had no chance, little nerdy guy, you know, definitely non-select, who Molly normally wouldn't even mess with. Apparently he had her number, probably her mom gave him the number, or she gave him her number out of niceness, send her a text and stuff. Now her and Issa are sitting someplace, they eating and everything. She shows Issa a picture of him, and I gotta write this down. He said, showed him his picture. Issa said, his daddy cute, show me him. He said, that is it. No, show me him. I was like, oh, snap. Oh, man. That's historic. That's historic and stuff. I was like, man, all those times they tried to be funny, I'll be like, one time they were probably, that was the best time. But it was still the thing of, you know, they didn't find him physically attractive. I mean, that was just it. That wasn't Molly's physical type. You know, that wasn't her physical type. She kind of like, not that roughneck, but kind of like that more upper class. Except for that time years ago, she dealt with that guy who was working class, more upper class, or a young guy, just somebody who fine, right? So that was an interesting thing. And then, I'm gonna tell you what. This is where, like, the whole episode, there wasn't really most of the episode until the very end, there wasn't really anything about Issa and her relationship. Because remember, I said she had hooked up, friends with Nathan. All right, they did something, they talking, and Issa invited him over to spend the night. All right, so they laying in bed just chilling. Okay, Nathan puts his move on her. She just busts out crying. She just said she wasn't ready yet. Let me write that down. No, she said specifically, I thought I was ready. All right. And you know, he holds her and everything, and then later on, he just rolls out. And she's just there by herself. She kind of looks over at her pillow. Now, here's the bigger theme of the episode, the bigger thing. Because remember, when I'm gonna look at something, I'm looking at a writer. Like anybody, any professional writers out there, you can't just, do like certain people do who, made their living wearing a dress. You gotta have a deeper angle. And this is one of the reasons why I reviewed the show, got the utmost respect for her and how she wrote it. The writer's room, shoot. Other than stealing stuff from this sector of YouTube. I know they watch me. I know they watch Master Teacher BGS and stuff and all of that. Hey, give us a cut. Give us a shout out. Show my book on your show. But no, seriously though. Seriously. All right, so this was the theme, and this is something not just for black women, but other women as well. Black women are just louder about it, but I've personally met white women who said the same thing. I've met a couple Asian women and some Hispanic women, primarily professional women. Think about it. Okay, Molly's at this law firm. She kicking ass. She's happy and everything. She got her nice spot. Issa don't have that nice spot yet, but she building her business. She getting bigger and bigger. Sponsors are jumping in, and that'll probably be a theme throughout the season. All right, professionally, they doing well. Professionally. Relationship-wise, it's just a total mess. If you look at Molly, for all the professional accomplishments, she's a 92 octane. She was a 92 climber, but she a 92 octane, got that money, doing well. Very accomplished. And her relationship life is shit. Her relationship life is shit. And the thing is, she's actually met men on her level. So she can't even say that. It's something with her. She can't say. There was only one time she dealt with a guy who was, she could say was below her. That was the first season and everything. And she didn't want to deal with him because he had a homosexual experience before. Okay, you can get that. But then, even if that didn't happen, it was still a class thing. All right. But if you look at the guy she dealt with since then, they shoot. You look at the Asian guy, Andrew. Shoot, he's probably made more money than her. He's probably at a bigger level than her. So you say she can't say that level thing, but it was something within her. Okay, on one side, she's very professional, making the money. Other side, boom. Issa. Now Issa at first wasn't doing much. She was just doing this and that. She's getting better and better, but then she's not ready. She got a guy right here filling her everything, but she wasn't ready yet. Now, presumably, I'm saying presumably, but we never know the way they've been writing and everything. Presumably, she's still hung up on Lawrence, even though she kind of kicked him to the curb. Presumably. We'll see, probably get a better idea in the next coming weeks, especially the next episode, because that looks like it's going to focus more on Lawrence. So, presumably. So you got these women, they doing well, but then the relationship part isn't there. And that's the thing, and that's a major thing. Indeed, I think that's a big reason why the show is doing so well. It's so popular with so many people. And that's something to pay attention to. It's like, how do they balance what they're doing professionally with what they're doing relationship-wise? And indeed, I'm gonna say this. Just being able to do something real well to make money doesn't translate to a relationship, because a relationship, that's more dynamic. Like if you're an attorney, she's an attorney. Okay, you follow the rules, you make a good argument, you do what you gotta do. Boom, boom, boom. It's like textbook. It's like, only time you might have to be a little bit more dynamic is if you're a trial attorney. But the reality is most attorneys who make a lot of money will never set foot in a courtroom. That's just a reality. It's just seriously. Or even if they like a corporate attorney or something, they may never set foot. A lot of stuff happens. Any attorney can attest to this. A lot of stuff happens before you get to that point. And that's where look like Molly is. A lot of stuff happened, and stuff is settled and everything before you even set foot in a courtroom. In fact, they try to, even in trial attorneys, they'll try to get it so they don't have to have a trial. It's a big thing, all right? So, you know, but it's like boom, boom, boom. Now what Issa is doing, she's dealing more with people, but it's still a business thing. Will this make money and everything? Okay, boom, they getting their stuff done professionally, but privately, it's still some issues. And that's going to be the thing. That's been a constant thing. It's like these women got all this stuff going on, but boom. Even Kelly, they didn't have Kelly in this episode, but from what we know, she was in as a master teacher BGS, we'll call her an invisible 92. Even though, please, I didn't think she was that high myself, but then it's like, yeah. And that's a whole other conversation. Like invisible 92s, they making that money and everything, but because of, let's be real, their physical appearance, they got to dip down and deal with who they got to deal with, you know? And that could be a relationship issue because she probably wants somebody higher up herself. And we'll see how they'll deal with that later in the season. But that's a constant theme. It's interesting. They call it growth. And all I saw was professional growth. I didn't see personal growth. Now, admittedly, Molly, she did go on that date at the end. And that guy, I got to really look at that guy. I got to really look at him. He actually looked like that guy from the first season, just with some weight on him, you know. I got to really look at him again. But whatever the case, you know, she went on a dating site, she meet this guy. We'll see what happens. Maybe that'll be some real growth because, come on now, we done seen Molly go on dates with tons of men. So to me, it's like, oh, okay, another date at this point. But she still got to work on that part. You know, anytime her mom will grab some guy and try to hook her up, because mom is probably like, hey, I want some grandkids from you. That's when you know, okay, you doing all this stuff on one side, but you don't have this stuff going on the other side. And that's the main thing I would say looking at the episode. Just kind of sit back and peep the dynamic. Peep the dynamic. Professionally, boom. Relationship-wise. So, anyway, that's my review of Insecure Season 5, Episode 2, Growth, okay? You know, that's my review. So let me know what y'all peeped and everything, okay? And if you got any ladies checking this out, y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. All right? So anyway, that's all I have for now. Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.